Yesterday was the start of the ocean race 22-23. The boats have left Alicante and the wind has arrived. And in today's very first The Ocean Race show, we're going to be talking about this 50 knots that is set to sweep across the racetrack, as well as that incredible foiling performance from Biotherm out on the waters here in Alicante, and also some bad news for fans of Viva Mexico. It was great to see the starting here in Alicante with absolutely fantastic breeze. Off the start line, you've got to hand it to Biotherm. They certainly put the hammer down and they motored right over the bow of 11th Hour Racing Team. And what really struck out for me was the difference in speed. Biotherm were up on the foils and absolutely ripping, while the Americans in the water, in displacement mode, and the difference in speed between these boats. We're going to see this play out around the world with those leads stretching out if you can get on your foils. But also, it was really interesting to see when it went wrong. Yeah, you can use those foils, but if you get too much kick and the bow goes up, you come crashing down. Looks spectacular, but in fact, it's actually pretty slow. We did see moments where they all seemed a little bit more balanced. Not only the foil working, but the keel as well, and the flight was a little bit more steady. Hopefully, they're going to be able to find that groove a little bit more consistently along our racetrack. Also out in the water, it was a double bill with the VO65 starting a couple of hours ahead of the Amocas in what turned out to be quite a traditional course. The wind shifting to the left-hand side, meaning that while our 6 VO65s were meant to reach to the first mark, they actually had to beat upwind and zigzag their way. The wind not too strong though, it was all well in hand for our experienced sailors, and while they sailed around the inshore section of leg one, everything was pretty much under control. The drama really started when the boats got offshore. Take a look at this shot coming in from Merpuri Foundation Racing Team. The simple act of just furling the masthead code 0, pulling in the jockey pole and clearing away the gear. You can see how quickly things can get out of control, not only minding your fingers, but also, sadly, losing a bit of gear over the side. Well, it's great to see the Amocas and the VO65s get away here in Alicante. We're going to be staying here at race headquarters to follow the race. This is the comms position, but I want to take you into race control because, well, this is obviously the nerve centre for the race. This is where all the data and all the information comes in. The race director, Phil Lawrence, is here. I'm not going to disturb him, but what I wanted to do was I wanted to talk you through something that we think is going to be crucial over the next 48 hours. So, the boats are upwind, and we know that the wind is going to get stronger. And in fact, as we make our way down to the Strait of Gibraltar, it's going to be all about the turns, the tacks, and how efficiently you can do it. So how easy is it to tack an Amoca? Well, we pulled a little bit of footage from when the wind was admittedly a little bit lighter during the import section, but just have a little bit of a look. Doesn't seem to be an awful lot going on here. This is Biotherm just going around. They've got the J2 up, which is a jib sail, a little bit easier to tack. You don't have to do that painful furl, but it seems to be quite a simple, quite an easy manoeuvre. Well, what goes on down below on an Amoca? Well, we did a little bit of rough calculations, and this is basically what we came up with in terms of the jobs list, the ropes that need to be either pulled or eased. And by our count, we're thinking 11 or 12 ropes need to be controlled on winches through the term. Well, let's go and see the view from downstairs. This is obviously on board with Team Holcim PRB, Sam Goodchild, and I was fascinated here to count the winches. Those winches are so important to control those ropes. All these ropes are really heavily loaded. So on Holcim PRB, we've got 4 winches, 2 on the left, 2 on the right. Guyot Environment, Team Europe, theirs is a little bit of a different setup. They've still got 2 on the left and 2 on the right, but 1 in the middle as well. So 5 winches for Robert Stanczyk and Benjamin Dutroux. 11th Hour Racing Team. This is the boat that has been designed exclusively for the ocean race. They've got 4 winches. We can see 2 of them in this image, forward and in the middle. The other 2 are out of shot at the back, 1 on the left, 1 on the right. So still 4, still well below that grand total that we're needing of 12. Likewise, it's the same on Biotherm. Paul Mayer's boat, 4 winches yet again, 2 on the left, 2 on the right. And Team Militia, it's the same story, just 4 winches, all of them tucked onto one single point forward on the boat. So with those 4 winches, 5 if you're lucky enough to sail on Guyo Environment Team Europe, you've got to control 11 or 12 lines almost simultaneously through these turns. How on earth do our sailors do it? Well, all of them have got these pedestals, these grinding positions. And in this video, we can see Will Harris putting the hands on the handles, turning the power through his arms, and that connects through gear levers all the way through the winches. We can see those little cords dangling just at the bottom of your screen as Will Harris and Rosalind Kuiper turn those handles. As they pull on and uncleat those lines, they are connecting or disconnecting different winches to their power. So as you can see, there's a lot of ropes on an Amoca, and a lot of them need to be controlled during the tack, and there are not enough winches. And this is going to be crucial to our teams. Just look at what happened to Guyo Environment Team Europe during that import section. This was that bad furl that they experienced. By a furl, we mean a wrapping up that masthead code 0 at the front of the boat and basically getting it away. And because they weren't able, they didn't find a way to control the easing of the sheet of the sail while they were furling at the same time, it flogged and it twisted uncontrollably, and that's how they got that hourglass. Now, at this point, they were having to turn away from the course, sail in the wrong direction, and while they did manage to get it repaired and kind of under control, it cost them an awful lot of time. These small little opportunities for everything to go wrong when you are turning corners is something we are going to see again and again over the next 24 hours. They're going to have to do a lot of tacks, and their tacks are going to have to be very clean indeed. Our 4 other Amocas pushed out from the import section of the course and started to enjoy a little bit more space in the open Mediterranean, waiting for that big wind to come. But actually, Guyo Environment Team Europe did manage to make up ground. They hugged a lot closer to the Spanish coast and found a much more favourable wind direction, and in fact got back on the tails of the race leaders. As the sun went down, the wildlife came out to welcome our sailors into the Mediterranean, but they were all thinking about the breeze to come.
You know, we're already starting to feel the bounciness of the waves. You can feel the swell starting to roll in, and then that's kind of telling you that the bigger wind's going to come. So, yeah, not long now.
Well, just ahead of our Amocas, while Will Harris and the rest of the fleet were waiting for the waves, the VO65s were already in it. At times, almost becalmed as the wind went light, but the sea state, a constant reminder of the storm waiting ahead of them as they try and find their way out of the Mediterranean. Whenever the breeze is blowing from where you want to go, you always have an awful lot of decisions to make, because by sailing boats' very nature, you have to go either left or right. You cannot go straight to where the wind is blowing. This is the predictions for the wind here, and you can see the gust value and the mean breeze. I mean, we are expecting nearly 50 knots of wind to be blowing across the decks of our VO65s and our Amocas. And with the speeds that these boats are making up wind, especially our Amocas, it is going to be incredibly testy out there. Right now, the sailors are feeling good, but everybody knows they're going to need to keep their head in the game to make the best of the breeze. And that big breeze has already claimed its first victim. While we were putting together this show, Viva Mexico called in to tell us that they have ripped their mainsail in half. We'll leave it to Eric Brockman to explain what happened.
It was very, very fun racing, because most of the boat fleet was quite together, and just our mainsail ripped, which we have seen. This, of course, it was a main that had been used before, and anyway, puts us in a tough situation, because now we cannot repair it here. We're looking at our options. We're heading to a port and assess.
The next 24 hours is going to be dramatic, but the last 24 hours was so dramatic that there was so much stuff that we simply couldn't fit in today. We will be back with another show. We're going to keep our eyes wide on the racetrack and keep bringing you the moves that we think are important. But for the moment, we're going to leave you with everything that we just simply couldn't fit into today.
come on.
We had a bit of a sloppy start, but we managed to get back into the fleet. 2 boats behind us, 1 right next to us.
Now the tough part will start, but now we're going upwind in a lot of breeze, so we'll be bouncy today.
And we had an issue with the tiller and the port fodder. Sorry, I eat at the same time that I speak to you.
Push down. Okay.
Yeah, that's okay.
I think it's not broken, but I can see where it hit.
Shit happens sometimes.
I think so far it's been a pretty tiring night. I think we've done about 10 different sail changes, and it's basically been like inshore racing but all overnight. You know, we're already starting to feel the bounciness of the waves. You can feel the swell starting to roll in, and then that's kind of telling you that the bigger wind's going to come. So
I'm trying to edit, but the screen is just going from side to side. It's really hard to see anything. Actually starting to feel a little bit seasick. Never had that before, but
Seasickness?
Yes, day number 2.
It's pretty rough. A lot of stamping and upwind waves. It's always nice. Just put a second reef. Oh, just put a second reef in. Looks pretty feisty out there. Look at that.
Disappointed right now after all the work to get to the start line in the past weeks. Our mainsail ripped. Anyway, puts us in a tough situation because now we cannot repair it.
Motion on the boat's pretty heinous. It's getting a bit windy out here now. Messed up, so take one in, it should go left as we come back in.
He will cross ahead. I can tell you when it feels about right.
We have a no match rotation?
No.
Jay, breathe.
No, easy. 3, 2, 1, let's go.
Okay, it's about easier for you.
Yeah, exactly.
What was that?
Currently we're at Gibraltar Rock, entering the strait, looking at pretty strong headwinds and currents as well.
So we've got some carbon, we've got our mainsail that's flapping, and we need to try and make some makeshift small battens just to stop the leech flapping. At the moment it's not a problem, but if the mainsail rips and breaks from flapping, then it could be a long way home. Max, je pense.
I went through one package. I don't need it anymore now. Well, fingers crossed, but let's enjoy the moment.
Yes. Here's Tarifa. So we through the Strait of Gibraltar, and now we still have to deal with some fish farms and shallow spots, traffic, but yeah, we are through the first big landmark of the race.
Nude Bethesda is like the spiritual home of free thinkers. It's a sort of vast landscape that's almost biblical in magnitude. The harshness of it makes you a much more thoughtful and spiritual person. It's almost an oasis for people who are innovative in their thinking. Because to survive on such a land means you have to be stronger. You have to look for answers in non-traditional ways. This seems to be a place that is a magnet for people who want to express themselves and makes it a visually interesting place to be as a photographer. To my friends in America, if they wanted to find an area that was quirky, warm, creative, and in the middle of a fantastic land, I would say come to Nude Bethesda, because that's where they would find it all together in one small, wonderful place.
January 18th, 1943. During World War II, the Soviet Union says it's broken the long Nazi siege of Leningrad. But another year passes before the siege is finally lifted in the city, now known as St. Petersburg, Russia. 1912, British explorer Robert F. Scott and his expedition reached the South Pole, aiming to be the first to ever arrive there. But they discover Norwegian explorer Roald Amundsen and his group beat them to the pole by more than a month. Scott and his party perished during a difficult return trip. 1967, Albert DeSalvo, the man claiming to be the Boston Strangler, serial killer, is convicted of armed robbery, assault, and sex offenses. Sentenced to life in prison, DeSalvo is killed by a fellow inmate behind bars more than 6 years later. And 1936.
For it is with us as it is with timber. Every knot and shaking aboard reveals some disease or injury that overtook the log while it was growing.
Rudyard Kipling, the British author and poet whose works include The Jungle Book and Gunga Din, dies at age 70. Today in history, January 18th. Camille Bohannon, The Associated Press.
Welcome back in our studio, and in today's news,